We'll do the pledge of allegiance. Dustin Carl lead us tonight. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the meeting to order. We'll do roll call.
Justin,
Yes. Present.
Jack, Jessica. Yes, present. Matthew. Shy.
Here. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes dated February 11th, 2025. City council member got any questions, concerns? If not, I'll just need a motion to accept them. Make a motion. Shot makes a motion.
I'll second.
Just a second.
Justin,
Yes.
Jessica. Yes. Shy.
Yes. Yes. So I will ask the council if we can move, well, we got a public comment hearing. Does anybody in the public got anything to stand up and say? Anything? It's a lot of public. It is, I like it. Thanks for being here. I like it. Yes, thank everyone for being here. We appreciate it. All right. Nobody's got anything? We'll close the public comment. I need a motion to move ordinance, the first ordinance, first item on the agenda down to the bottom of the agenda. So we won't have enough to pass the ordinance until we elect this new, appoint this new councilman. That's it. I'll make that motion. Justin makes a motion.
I'll second.
Just a second.
Justin.
Yes.
Jessica. Yeah. Shy.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is resolution 2025-3. Jay, read that.
City of Highfill, Benton County, Arkansas, resolution appointing council member to position 1, Ward 2, City Council for the city of Highfill, Arkansas.
So we got 4 candidates I do believe tonight. If there is another candidate and we do not got your application, please raise your hand, stand up and let me know. But the first one I got here is Ryan, the clerk. And if I will ask you, come up, state your name, your address, and then kind of tell the council a little bit about yourself and why you would make a good candidate for the city council position.
They're Holland City Council members. Thanks for the opportunity to be considered for this open seat on the council. My name's Ryan D. Clerk. I live on 2261 North Center Street. Used to be North Holland. This was changed years ago for 911 purposes, but it's due east of here, between here and the airport. In 2012, my wife Kelly and I decided to purchase our land in Highfill, eventually building our forever home about 5 to 6 years ago, where we wanted to finish raising our 4 children, Collier, Noel, Deacon, and Kellen, in a more rural country setting than where we were living before. So we own 60 acres on North Center Street, and my wife's parents own 17 acres connected to us. We fell in love with Highfill years ago with the rural feeling out here kind of in the middle of Northwest Arkansas, and we're deeply invested in continuing to call it our home for years to come. So a little about myself. I was born and raised in a small Northeast Arkansas town called Pocahontas, a few thousand people. Later attended and graduated from the University of Arkansas, where I attained a degree in a master's degree and undergraduate degree in exercise science. I then attended medical school in Little Rock and later did my residency training in Fayetteville. Since then, specialized in family medicine. I've worked as a family physician for the past 15 years in Rogers at the Pleasant Grove exit for Northwest Medical Systems, where I serve patients from all over the Northwest Arkansas area. As far as my experience that would help me in this position throughout my life, I've volunteered for various leadership positions, whether it be in school, coaching Little League teams, previous neighborhood POAs, church, etc. I currently serve on multiple committees and the board of directors for the Quality Alliance Clinically Integrated Network, which is a large group of physicians in Northwest Arkansas that are dedicated to quality and cost-effective patient care in Northwest Arkansas. I also serve at my church as one of the worship leaders. As I thought about why I would be a good fit for city council, I thought about the qualities I would want in a city council representative, because ultimately, although being chosen tonight by the council, this position is a representative position. So first of all, does he or she have a servant attitude? I wouldn't do the job I do on a day-to-day basis if I didn't have a servant attitude, where I've dedicated my career to serving others and look forward to doing the same if I'm chosen tonight for the citizens of Highfill. Is he or she honest and fair? Really, I'm probably honest to a fault sometimes, and I believe, most situations have common ground, so I like to approach things and is there a fair way to settle disputes, settle decision making. Also, I taught my kids from a young age that integrity is one of the most important qualities a person can have. So that's dear to my heart and dear to myself and my family. So is he or she logical in the way they think? One of the ways I think look through and think about life is through this lens. Does it make sense to me? If it doesn't, then usually I want to stray away from those things. So, and usually I end up on the right side of things when I approach things in that way. 4, is he or she passionate about the city and building the city? I believe that my consistent participation and attendance at council meetings and planning commission meetings confirms this. This is all meetings, not just the ones that might affect me personally. I show up at many meetings that affect my neighbors and try to sometimes even speak on their behalf if I find it's something worth fighting for. So I've also served on the mayor's town planning committee last summer. It kind of stalled for a while as we moved through this planning process, but I think it just proves that I'm willing to serve this town and be committed to the future of it in any way I can. 5, finally, will he or she represent me and fight for the citizens on the council? Before I decided to run this, I run for this position. I had several of my neighbors call me because they know that I show up for them and I show up to the meetings, and so in support of me, but and asking me, would you do that? So that was one of the reasons I put my name into the hat. So I truly believe as we embark on the planning of Highfill, there is no more important time than now for the city council. If given the opportunity, I will work at my utmost ability with the other council members to usher in the inevitable growth that is upon us and to assure Highfill is a place that all its citizens continue to be proud to call home. Thank you again for your consideration.
Thank you, Ryan. Does council members have any questions?
I'm sorry.
I don't have any questions.
No question.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. The next one will be Alexus Main.
Hello, I'm Alexus Main. Can you guys hear me? Good. I live at 111 Southwest Main Street, right up here. Salem Springs address, my little Highfill house. I moved to Highfill a couple of years ago. My family is first generation of farmers, and we wanted to find a small little place so we could raise our family and show them the way of life that we want to create. So when I got here, I realized it's a very tight-knit community that really cares about its people first. And so over the time that we've been here, I've tried to get involved in the community as much as possible, connect everyone as much as possible as we grow. You know, people want to stay connected to help our community. So as far as the seat goes, I think that would be great for the seat because I do love this town. I think that growth is inevitable, but I think fostering responsible growth that keeps our citizens at top of mind is how we preserve our town and what Highfill stands for. Through my years in real estate, I've seen towns grow in a way that didn't feel like it had their citizens in mind and in a place that people didn't want to continue to be in anymore. And I take that personally because I do love this little town. It's important to me. It's important to my family. It's important to my neighbors. And I feel like I can really speak for my community and bring them together and help make sure that if I am on that seat, that I am going to be a responsible party for our citizens and make sure that as we grow, we can grow in a way that everyone still loves living here. I think that is super important to me. I think it's so important to our town and I'd love to sit with you guys.
Thank you, Alexis. Anybody, council members, got any questions for Alexis?
No question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is Jana Zimmerman.
Hello, I'm Jana Zimmerman. I live on 490 Northwest Holland Avenue here in Highfill. I've lived in Northwest Arkansas area my whole life. I have seen the growth in all the nearby towns. The nearby towns and the complications they have endured. I'm passionate about the growth of the city of Highfill and the direction of the future. My goal for the town is to make sure we can grow in a positive way while making sure we have the infrastructure in place to support the growth. We need parks, we need good roads, and we need to make, the good roads need to make sense for the future. I'm sorry. Make sense for the future so the community can flourish. Not a dentist office on every corner, if you know what town I'm talking about. Highfill will see a positive tax revenue with the growth. The way to maintain the roads, the parks initially invested in. I'm aware of the current events and topics for the city right now that include the road on Douglas Cemetery, the sidewalk project on Mason Valley, the Vaughn Road intersection, and a never-ending debate at XNA. I know how federal funding works. I know you need to use it or you lose it. You must spend what you get to ask for more. Making importance on it being top priority, that we use it in the most economical manner possible. My background may not be as impressive as some, but it includes accounting, project management, construction, product development, market analyzation, and yes, even cosmetology. I've led local volunteer groups for the United Way and the Women's Shelter in Bentonville in my past, making sure to assist others to get set up for success. My husband and I purchased property here in Highfill 6 years ago and built a home on 10 acres. We love the community and plan to make it our forever place to be. I'm committed to serving the community with integrity, honesty, and accountability. I'm eager to collaborate with the council members, city staff, and our community to make the tactical shifts needed for the community to thrive. Why? Because it's my town.
Thank you, Jana. Is any council members got any questions for Jana?
No question. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one is Craig Fairbetter.
Good evening, all. Craig Fairbetter. I live at 752 Beau Chalet Drive. We're on the annexation part of city limits and the second district. I was asked several years ago by a former mayor to get more involved in the city council, and over the years I've had a lot of business experience that took me on travels far away, and I wasn't able to be here as often as I would like during the weekdays. I do still travel some, but I can tell you that in the 15 years that I've lived here in Highfill and in the Beau Chalet subdivision, I have brought a lot of experience from other parts of not only the state of Arkansas, but across the country as well. I did 4 corporate relocations during my time as one of the top 10 suppliers at Walmart. So I have a really good idea of what suppliers in the community of relocations are looking for when they come to a community. In addition, working with Walmart and in the supply community, and then after those 20 years, moving into a construction role. Over the last 10 years, I've worked heavily with contractors, airports, data centers, and it's kind of an interesting point of inflection where we are right now in Highfill, as the community is now to the point where the demographics are really going to pop. Things are going to change. So how we plan and look to the future, and how you look at the developments that will take place and shape the streets, the roads, hospitals, everything that's going to have to come into this neighborhood as the community becomes more than just, you know, a one light town. It's really going to have to be planning and developing for the future. So I'm pleased to see that Corrigan was able to come in and do some analysis and review for the city. I work with Corrigan in Dallas a lot on their various projects from data centers to hospitals and airports. So familiar with them as an organization, and I also work with the XNA Airport, their chief infrastructure officer on a number of projects, including Nabholz Construction, Crossland Construction. I've also worked with several of the regional and national home builders in a professional manner. So hopefully I have some experience that could, assist the city in some of these things. If this is the right position for that, I'm happy to do it. My son is now a college baseball player, so no longer on my Monday and Tuesday nights consumed with being at the baseball field and coaching as well. So anyway, that's all I wanted to share. I'm happy to contribute any way I can.
Thanks, Greg. Does council got any questions for Greg?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Council, I think we got 4 good, wonderful applicants in front of us. If you guys want to discuss this in the executive session, I just need one of you guys to make the motion.
I'll make a motion.
Shai makes the motion. Second. Justin seconds.
Justin,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Shy,
Yes.
Yes. We'll be back.
Everybody riding electric bicycles now, they don't share the.
Oh, yeah. Let everyone have the.
I want to call the meeting back to order. Just want to say, I want to thank everybody that's put in for this position. It took us a while to figure this out because we've had 4 excellent candidates for this position. And I think this is probably the first time that Highfill's had 4 candidates for 1 council position that I can remember. So with that being said, thank you guys. Thank each one of you. If your name's not called, we still have positions open up during the city throughout the year, you know, maybe another council spot, maybe another planning commission, water commission. We got your resumes. We will reach out to you if one of them spots do open up and see if any of you are interested for that position. So that being said, I think I'm waiting on a motion.
So this is like the longest we've ever as a council had an executive session to talk about all the candidates. And hopefully that's a testament to the fact that you were all very well qualified and very well spoken. And it gave us a hard time to make a decision. So I'm just going to say that up front that most deliberation I think we've ever had in trying to make sure that we're thinking through all the implications of who we pick for this position and what we do. That said, I'd like to make a motion that Alexus, Alexus Main, is that right? Main. We can't read, it's one very small font.
That's it.
Alexus Main, thank you. Be nominated for Ward 2 position 2.
1.
Position 1.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Just a second.
Justin,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Shy,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes. Alexis, congratulations. Congratulations. Did you welcome up here? Just raise your right hand. You repeat after me. I, Alexis Main,
I, Alexus Main,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas,
the Constitution of the State of Arkansas.
and I will faithfully perform and discharge
I will faithfully perform and discharge
the duties of the office of council member, Ward 2, Position 1,
the duties as
Ward
Ward 1,
2,
2,
Position 1,
Position 1,
City of Highfill,
City of Highfill,
on which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Thank you. Congratulations. And have a seat. Alrighty. Next item on the agenda is resolution 2025-4. I'll let Jay read it.
City of Highfill, Arkansas, resolution expressing the willingness to utilize federal aid transportation alternatives program or recreational trails program funds.
So this is for the sidewalks for us to apply for the sidewalks on Mason Valley.
Do we know where we're putting them?
Yeah,
Or
what-
do we
what's
know
that?
where we're putting them, or does it cover all of it?
Yeah, so I think the engineers, last time we applied for this last year, it covered almost all the way down. It covered from Vaughn Road, I do believe, right, Jessica?
I thought it was from 71st to 63rd, so I think it was all of it.
I think it covered like 90% of it. There's a little section, I think, towards Daniels Road that it was not covered.
Okay, so both sides of Silver Meadows and
No,
No,
it's on the side of Silver Meadows.
just outside Silver Meadows?
Yeah.
Okay. Would we be applying for it again next year to do the side of Woodward Hills?
yeah, we'll keep on flying.
Alright.
If you guys are good with that, let's need a motion.
I'll make it.
Sean makes a motion.
I will second.
Jessica second.
Justin,
Yes.
Alexis,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Shy,
Yes.
Alexis, at any time, if you got any questions, you feel free to speak up and ask.
Mayor, thank you for doing that and open down this road for several months, if not the better part of a year.
Yes, and we're applying for that. I think we got to meet with your POA. We're gonna try to get the playground stuff applied for as well.
Down the road, not the sidewalk. It's not really-
Next item is resolution 2025-5.
City of Highfill, Arkansas, a resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Highfill to utilize federal aid funds for the following project, Douglas Cemetery Road Improvement Project.
So this is the same one we applied for last year, and I think the year before. I think we apply for it every year I've been in office. It's to help us afford the cost of upgrading Douglas Cemetery Road for the flooding.
And when's the last time it flooded?
Not last year, we didn't have that much rain last year. But every year it rains heavy, it floods.
Flooded this year.
It flooded a little bit, not as bad as what it has in the past.
Didn't wipe out the bridge.
Yeah,
I got
it don't take the whole road out this last year, but
If it doesn't take the whole road, it's not really flood.
Comparatively speaking.
I'm sorry, guys.
but when it usually floods at least once every year.
And it often takes away, it's taken away the culverts in the past.
Yes.
It's impassable with over services. It's been a very problematic space, and it's been the priority of the city to really focus on this one juncture of the road system because of it. Not to say that I would want my road to be fixed first, but this was a much bigger situation. I'm drawing on me, sorry.
Sweet. And that's all the way, right?
No, that's not gonna cover, I mean, it's probably gonna cover the drainage of it.
Doesn't matter.
That would cost us a lot more.
Share something.
That's the engineered plans that we drew up 2 years ago at the cemetery.
So what happens if we build this up and then more houses come in that area? How does that gonna affect what we already did or what we plan to do?
Say it one more time, Alexus.
If we do this, what happens if houses come in those areas if there aren't houses? How will it affect what we already did and what we have to do after that?
Meaning as far as like we built the road up,
Mhm.
so like,
Has to go somewhat 7 feet higher or something like that.
well, you can't build a house in floodplain, obviously. So their driveway, like there's that one driveway, what's their name? Moore's, that I think the city would have to go in and fix because it's below. You know, they'd have to go in and fix that driveway there, but I think the Moores are the only one driveway off of that from the bridge back north to the intersection. Is that right, Ryan?
Yeah, to the intersection, then there'll be, I think there's a family that up a little ways past Jamie's that's gonna have an entrance there.
Yeah.
As it comes down the hill from Jamie's father-in-law.
Your question is valid, and this goes every time a neighborhood comes to us, it's in the north, it obviously impacts the south, from the drainage perspective. Require most of our neighborhoods to do a drainage study to help us to gain the impact, to replace, have respect of the impact it's gonna have on us in the south. And determine that there's things that are to be made in the process, like potential ponds, et cetera, that help avoid the impact that comes our way. I can't say we've been perfect at that or successful at that in the past, but that's the mayor's goal to get those mistakes at times.
And this just allows us to apply for the federal funding. Like I said, we've applied for it the last couple of years. And been denied on it the last couple of years. Good question from council. Justin makes a motion.
I will second.
Justin seconds.
Justin,
Yes.
Alexis,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Shy,
Yes.
Let's go back to the ordinance. Ordinance number 2025-1. Let Jay read it.
Motions to.
You guys want to make a motion to suspend the rule?
Yes, I'll make a motion to suspend.
Jessica makes a motion. What this is, Alexis, we suspend the rule to read 3 times. If you did not suspend that, you'll have to read the whole ordinance and it'll put it on its first reading. So if there's contested ordinances, sometimes we will suspend the rule and still put the ordinance on its first reading. But suspending the rule, reading it in its full entirety, just saves us from having to read the whole ordinance. Some of them will take a long time to read. It's not saying that you can't put the ordinance on its first reading, if that's what you choose to do. If you want to do that, you can make the motion to do that. If you get that support from other council members, obviously they'll be put on its first reading. But all this is just a motion to suspend the rules of reading in its full. Just made the motion.
Ordinance number 2025 oh, sorry, I need to vote on that now. I need a second on that.
Second.
Try seconds.
Justin,
Yes.
Alexis,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes,
Shy,
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-1, City of Highfill, Arkansas, an ordinance amending the Highfill Municipal Code to revise the order of business and for the purposes.
So this is what it's doing is saying what order we're gonna go in down through here of how everything is lined up. Right. Alexis, it's call the meeting to order, roll call. I think a format got issued last city council meeting that we didn't like, so we changed it back to this format here. So that's how you'll see the agenda for every council meeting. At what point do the city comments from the citizens? Exactly. Right after. It's kind of roll call right now. Yeah, I'd like to leave it to public comment hearing like we got it right now. Would that just be?
do we need to add the public comment to one of these to make it official? I mean,
I want
I think it's important to have that documented.
Yeah, we should amend it, and I think they put it right up toward the top.
amend it to put it as B. Move everything.
Just
from-
shut everything down from B.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
the public comment. B.
I can make a motion to accept with those edits.
I segment.
Justin,
Yes.
Alexis,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes,
Shy,
Yes.
We'll give you. Next to item on the agenda is department and committee reports. Does department head got anything? Very good.
You just don't like me coming up here. Good evening. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a rundown of a few things. We're extremely busy on the law enforcement side of the house. We were working through some statistics to present to you guys this evening, but we're waiting on a few other things to come in. But I can tell you this time, to date, last year, there's a 78% increase in our call volume on the police department side of what we do. Believe it or not, our cyber crimes in the city are up, which is something we haven't seen a lot of here in the rural side of things, but I think that's pretty much everywhere across the United States right now. But the guys are working extremely hard. You should be proud of the law enforcement guys and gals that we have on our team, that I know I'm extremely proud of them. I'll have some more information for you next month, and hopefully you'll get your minds wrapped around what we're going to be facing here in the near future, probably 6 months to a year. Some of the challenges that may be coming to the table as far as our community and keeping people safe. So I want you to be aware of that. And then the only other thing I have is our DWI enforcement begins Friday and Saturday this weekend, so you'll see our local DWI task force will be working in the city, and the neighboring cities will be mutual aiding those people. So working on that for St. Patrick's Day. So you guys have anything for me on the PD side?
We forecasting the increase to remain increasing.
Absolutely.
Our
I mean, I'm not speaking out of turn, but there's people moving into the city every single day.
Yeah.
You know, so that just comes with what we're dealing with, what we're seeing. Traffic flow, traffic, everybody's probably experienced that. I think, being able to just pull out of your driveway is probably more difficult now than it was a month ago. So those types of things create their own problems. Vehicle crashes are up. I'll have an exact number for you next month, but this type of thing is important for us to be able to view what we need in the future. And I think that we're trying to get you as accurate to the pinpoint as we can with that. So,
When you say what we need in the future, that includes staffing, correct?
yeah. Yeah, and we're still working with, most oftentimes, if it's not a daytime call, one officer taking that call. He has to take the report, do the full investigation. We've got a good group of guys who are working on the back end. Who are helping with those long-term investigations, search warrants, things like that, which those take days. And some of these investigations have been pending for months. And it just takes that much manpower to investigate them properly. So providing that service to the citizen is important. We set a standard here. We want to keep that standard as high as possible. We don't want it to drop it. So that's what we're focused on.
And sorry, last question, remind me, we had an open position within the last few months. We filled that position,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am. We are fully staffed as far as the positions that you guys have granted us. Update on the children's shelter. I'm glad you brought that up. Officer Golden has taken her seat there, and she is getting rating reviews, so they are super happy. I know me and the mayor will be attending their board meeting, so that's working out really well for them and for the city. So
Great.
So it was a great move. So
No further questions from me.
I was just gonna, quality of call matters. I know what calls are up, but like, what are we talking about? Like, what kind of calls are?
I mean, in general, domestic violence increases when we have more residents moving into the town, things like that. Traffic incidents, I would say, are probably at the top of that. And when I said cyber crimes, I've been here as the chief for 11 years almost. Yeah, 11 years. And I could count probably 2 or 3 cybercrime incidents that I've investigated.
What's a cyber crime?
So anything that's related to computer crime. So social media / all the way to
Just sometimes on Facebook.
inappropriate things like that.
Somebody
That's
stealing
the
money from.
investigations that are requiring us to actively seek digital evidence against a suspect. So it could be anything from,
Threatening Facebook
yeah,
posts.
that threatening Facebook posts to child pornography, things like that are unusual for us to see.
Okay.
Cryptocurrency fraud, things like that happen a lot more now. So those are very labor intensive. Subpoenas have to be requested for those types of things. Search warrants have to be obtained, things like that.
And how many full-time officers do we have right now?
7.
7. So the next meeting, showing us what we're looking at, will you be able to tell us like what you feel
Yeah.
would benefit the city to help keep that down lower and help keep our officers more efficient?
Absolutely.
Where are the traffic incidents happening mostly?
I mean, it's all across the city. I mean, the highway, high speed crashes, those are up. We had a, tragic fatality just week before last. So those types of things are going to continue. We see near misses and close calls on our patrols every single day. So I think, unfortunately, we need to get on the front end of some of that stuff. But it's just the nature of a growing city, I think. So
I've been asking Mayor about anything we can do with Vaughn and even the portions that are not technically under city jurisdiction, but with developments going in on Mason Valley, that intersection Vaughn, Mason Valley is going to be extremely difficult. Is there anything from a law enforcement perspective that once those houses are up, you've done better to direct flow traffic there?
yeah, I mean, widening that road could help, but I mean, I think we're always going to have these residential areas where you have 2, 3, 4, 500 homes in one spot, and we only have a 2-lane road to access that. It's always going to be a difficult thing. Look at Greenhouse Road. We've all driven that. That's a very, very high travel cut through. We're gonna have that same problem on Vaughn and Mason Valley. And I don't know if there's a good fix to it, but I think if we get on the front end as far as the development and the engineering side of it, the law enforcement side's really not necessarily, a presence is always gonna be good, but it's a narrow road. There's nowhere for us to set and run radar except on Mason Valley. So Bond Road's kind of hard. Yeah, it's kind of hard for us to do. We're doing it in passing. That's an easy one. But as far as setting there and actively being on the radar of that area, it's kind of hard to do that.
What about the 20 mph resolution that we passed? Have you seen that helping?
Yeah, inside those residential areas, you know, it really boils down to presence and being able to patrol that as much as we possibly can. Getting those areas posted with the speed limit signs, we've done that, so I think that's gonna help us quite a bit. We've put that radar trailer up that flashes its lights at people, that helps. It gets us statistics too, so we know the time periods where the most high-speed travelers are moving through there, and we can see that. And it'll actually take a picture of the car, so.
That's also good to know.
Oh, there you go.
Sometimes you catch little kids running, trying to speed.
We do.
So they can get
Run by
their.
it?
You can run by it and radar yourself running, so the kids like doing that, so,
One.
but it does work.
I used to be able to run 25 miles an hour.
Would be nice.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you. Anybody else got anything?
Hey, good evening, council. There's been a lot of talk about the water loss in Northwest Arkansas. Ours is still, it increased 2.5%, so we're up to 4.5% this month, which is amazing. Most of that's credited to changing the billing cycle. We didn't change the billing cycle, we changed our rates. So there's a lot of talk on Facebook right now, especially in the neighborhoods. This is what I want to tell you guys are probably gonna get hit up. The last billing cycle was for 16 days. We had the choice of either giving them a short bill or giving them a 45-day bill right after Christmas, and I chose to give them a short bill. So if you guys hear any talks about my bills doubled since last month, it's because the days in the read was 30 days as opposed to 16 days. Weather's finally getting nice enough where we can get out on the roads. Where Grader was out today on Rush Arbor, Insco, and on that east side of the airport. I think he's moving his way up to P and Alto, and then we just always hit the normal trouble spots, which would be Rocky Comfort, Bryant, Bowen. But I'm seeing the efforts that we put forward under Mayor Holland the last 2 years working out for us. Like, we don't have to spend as much time on Duke and Douglas as we used to. Everything seems to be rolling right along. We're moving into mowing season. The guys were getting all the mowers ready for the parks and everything today. So if you guys see anything that needs to be addressed, please feel free to contact me or Chris. We'll get after it. You guys got any questions?
On Rocky Comfort, there's 2 large trees that are into the road, and if you force you go into the other side, right there, you're on account of the bike. Big chopping trees off.
Is it on the
It's on the right, the big one south.
Okay.
Right on the right, the 3 trees.
I think when we looked into that, it wasn't in our right of way, so it's actually on our property side. So let me look at gaining access to get permission to cut those down, and we'll definitely take care of it. Anything else?
Do you have any type of community ditch trash cleanup event?
No, but we got
Um,
we were able to do adopt a road.
Right.
So I know if Jack was here, they'll speak on it, but a lot of these kids need volunteer hours in
Mhm.
school. You know, so if you know of any kids that want to get volunteer hours and pick up along the highway or whatever, we can get them all the reflective vests and stuff they need, and you know, if it's kids out, I'd soon have a cop up there or something.
I was gonna say, yeah, because specifically what I'm thinking about is Mason Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, the past few days driving up and down it, it looks like a dumpster.
So when we did discuss this, we did purchase all the safety vests. We have the bags. I believe they wanted to do it on a Saturday. We told them just leave it on the side of the road on Saturday, and our guys will go back through on Monday and pick that up
Okay.
and
So
dispose
it's
of it.
essentially, from what I'm hearing, it's a community-led effort that would
Yes.
be coordinated with. Okay.
And sometimes Blake can get the inmates, but I think they're being used a lot. All over the county.
Yeah, that's not, no, that's fine. We'd rather, I personally would rather give it to a kid who needs volunteer hours than
If
for
they get-
hired him.
If you get with Dustin, he can get you all the stuff, and if you want a PD officer, you can reach out to Blake, or you can have me, you get hold of me, and I'll have to reach out to
Okay.
the chief and make sure there's somebody up there to make sure kids don't get hit or harassed or anything like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any further questions? Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Dustin. Anybody got anything else? All right. Next on the agenda is the financial reports for February of 2025. Alexus, since you just got on, if you don't feel comfortable approving the financials, you can just abstain from it.
I studied them already this week.
Okay. Council got any questions, concerns, comments? If nothing, just need a motion to approve.
On that very first page, that Tiffany and I spoke earlier in the week. We budget versus actually we're off on some of these things, we're doing like your adjustments, it's total, actually favorable, so we're gonna fix it the right line.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
okay. I'm gonna show you the spend versus someplace else.
Yep.
Right. There's a follow-up, I did do the work. I think I copied you from that with the liquor tax. Again, the numbers that we received from, that I received in sales of liquor for the last 2 years of X May versus what we're getting in tax for matching. You should put your own money and figure out how to go and get collected somehow. It's like $2,500 from me, right? Was that massive? Yeah. 25% effective variance from what we should receive.
Yeah, I would have to, get down that process, good ask.
I'll have to for you, or you can request all the sales reports from our liquor. About a year left.
I can't request that.
That's coming from front, it's given to the client. There for it, but I don't know how to take the pointers, how to reconcile the books, and figure out why we're not getting something.
Unless, I think Senator Enzo's got a bill that, states that, I've seen it, never read it, just heard about it, that requires the Department of Finance Administration to be more upfront with the, like if I talk to a senator, it would require them to give them the information that we're wanting. That'd be great. I heard it's might be an uphill battle, so maybe reach out to our representatives and I'll try to find that bill number out in the language so you guys can look over it, but that would be really helpful for the city,
Yeah. especially
especially the stuff that we're going through.
So it's clear to everybody else in the room, because I guess it was clear what I'm talking about. Liquor tax is only collected from XNA. Liquor tax is only collected from XNA in Highfill, because we have nowhere else that sells liquor in our city limits.
Helpfully, so
Just started,
just
right at the end of the month. So if you look at the tax report and from 23 to 24 and so forth, it shows a decline year over year from 22 to 23, and then again 23 to 24, which doesn't make logical sense when we read in the newspaper that XNA continues to grow passengers and have people coming through the airport, unless everyone's all of a sudden become non-drinkers, which is not really likely. And so something's awry in the numbers, and then we can tell specifically this XNA by looking just at this one tax. And what does that translate into over its other taxes? There's what they're speaking to, what the mayor just spoke to, is that we as a city council cannot get these numbers from the Department of Finance and Administration as much as we should feel like there's be public information transparency. We actually can't validate if we're ever getting the appropriate tax dollars given back to us from the FNA. So this is one way where I was able to validate something by getting some information, but it's not something we can do very often or very well. So there's more to be done. Just thought I'd share the background since you probably are like wondering what he's talking about. Okay.
thanks, Justin.
Yeah.
Council got any questions about that? Council, any more questions on the finances?
If we approve.
Justin makes a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Just a second.
Justin,
Yes.
Alexis,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Shy,
Yes.
Here, Alexis. So, council, I gave you guys, did you get one, Justin? Next item is mayor's report. One thing I got to report on here is that item I gave you there is, I've been talking to Aaron Burks with the XNA. We've been trying to work out an agreement. He's been great to communicate with, and very polite, nice, and we've had some good conversations. Unfortunately, me and him didn't come to an agreement, I don't feel like, but it's not my decision. It's y'all's as a council's decision. So they're offering to allow Highfill to have $745,560 of our tax dollars a year after the bonds are paid. Which that translates to about 5 years, Jeff? 4.5, 5 years. And then once all that excess sales tax money would go into escrow. And once the bonds were satisfied, the next day would leave, all the sales tax would go away. We would not, and we'd go back to getting what the city sales tax would be from El Pueblito or restaurants and gas stations and stuff like that. So this bill I feel like got approved in Little Rock off of XNA's officials saying that nobody's taking Highfill's money. And we got transcripts, and I have the transcripts that state all of this, stated from the XNA members. That nobody's taking Highfill's money. This is going to be an 8 to 14 year process. It's going to be a step down. Highfill's going to have time to budget, to get prepared for this. And one of the things that I got told from one of the senators there was, hey, go back to your city and start drumming up business. Start trying to get restaurants in there, get you some more housing in there, because you've got this time frame here to get this done. And that's exactly what we did. When we come back, I hit the ground, got a Mexican restaurant, opened the brewery, we got a donut shop coming, we got a Sonic coming, we got more residents, so that's exactly what we've done. So this agreement here, I asked XNA to, basically you take 8 to 14, I kind of met in the middle there a little bit. So we just need a little more time, give us 10 years. Because with this number here, we will stay in the positive. It won't be very much in the positive. So in return, we won't be able to go get bonds for the upgraded water system. We won't be able to do any growth of any of our infrastructure whatsoever. Won't be able to hire more police officers, nothing. We won't be able to do any of that. Because XNA, they're nice enough to give me what they think that we're getting paid in sales tax from the airport. And their numbers are 1.75 million to 1.85 million, which are city sales tax, and that's for 2024. So our city sales tax for 2024 is 2.65 million, somewhere right in there. Don't quote me on that. We're right along in there. So that only gives us that we're saying that we're only receiving about $200,000 in sales tax from the city, from our own stuff, and it's not on XNA property. But if you go back to COVID years and you take the 3 months that XNA had zero implements whatsoever, that number's about 240, somewhere in there. And that's in 2020 when we didn't have a Dollar General, we didn't have a Mexican restaurant, we didn't have, the only thing we had here was a gas station. We had none of these residents that are built besides Mason Valley there, Woodward, not Woodward, Silver Meadows, and that wasn't even fully built out. So since 2020 to now, we've added quite a few more residents. And if you take the point of delivery tax on people ordering Amazon, that comes to us. the lumber packages, of building the new houses, the tax on it, it's point delivery tax that comes to us. If you add in the dollar store, the brewery, double Blito and stuff. So our taxes is what I'm saying are higher than what is saying there, but my my point to them is we just need more time. And if you give us 10 years, it'll allow us to go out and start the process of getting our water upsized. It will give us time to get and approved and enacted our impact fees that we're doing for all the development coming on. So, all the impact fee money for water and sewer will go straight to paying bonds off, paying loans off for this. But, it's going to take us, Dustin, 2.5, 3 years to get the 18-inch line done, more than likely.
Yes, sir.
So if that's the case, that gives us a couple years to kind of prepare if we're doing off the 5-year plan. So, and then, which I asked them for 10, they had a special board meeting today. They asked the board stuck to their numbers, wants to stay on it. And if we don't agree to their terms, then more than likely I will be sued in the capacity as mayor on Monday. So I want you guys to know what it is here, what the offer is, and exactly what XNA is saying that they're going to do. Which I'm perfectly fine with doing whatever you guys want to do, but just know if we do accept this, in my opinion, and looking at the numbers, like we will be hurting our city. And if we don't accept this, there could be the possibility of all sales tax being escrowed if we do. Go ahead, Jay.
So, Mayor is exactly correct. XNA says, from your sales tax, which we're collecting, we'll agree that you get to keep $746,560 per year after the bond payments are made. And they say, if you don't agree with that, then our position is that you get zero. So that would be $746,560 less if that's the number that someone ends up agreeing with them. And they also say, besides that, you've collected about $800,000, which we believe you should have already been holding toward application of your bond payments. We're going to ask that that be returned out of your savings or wherever else the city might have that sort of money as part of the process.
So I spoke with our lawyers and like I said, Aaron is very polite, very courteous, and he's talking to me today, and has been through the whole process. And I was hoping that we could come up to an agreement instead of going this path. But I just, in my eyes, this agreement just isn't good. What I think they should do is hold to their word that they sold this bill in Little Rock. We talk about integrity, we talk about stuff of that nature, and that's exactly what they said, 8 to 14 years. And that's what I think that should be held to. We need a little bit more time than just 5.5 years. Council discussion?
Trying to think what question to ask first. There's lots that run through my mind. Has XNA given us any perspective on where the sales tax money that's being collected, when it will no longer go to Highfill, where does it go?
It would just go away, would not, Jay?
Well, it would continue to be collected until the bonds are paid off. And once the bonds are paid off, the airport footprint would not be subject to the city's 2% sales tax.
So would they stop collecting local taxes?
It would stop collecting city sales tax after the bonds are paid.
But they would collect other taxes? Like, what does that look like? would everything become cheaper by 2% at exit A?
There would be a 2%, if you bought a Coke that had, a 6% sales tax instead of $1.06, it'd be $1.04.
So it would effectively become a little
Sure.
cheaper, in theory.
Sure.
Have they, and that's what they've expressed? Do we know?
Expressed.
I mean. It seems to me like they'll continue collecting tax.
Yeah, well,
Their price.
they're not, they don't got legislation passed for them to collect tax. They charge the vendors booth space and charge them, I think. I may be completely out of line in saying this, but just from what I was reading, they charge on a fee on top of how much money they collect each and every month. That's kind of what their rent for their booth would be
Based on ourselves.
based on their sales. So I think each business over there has to report to them how much they sell each and every.
But those business owners, for example, Slim Chickens is in there. Just, again, just to make sure I'm understanding, if it's Coke's $1.60, $1.06, they'll go down to $1.04.
When you pay your bill, that's correct. Once the sales tax ends, sales tax collection is not going to end until the existing two series of bonds, two bond series are retired.
They're gonna be retired when? Is that in 5 years, you're saying 5 years?
Well, based on the projections, if all the sales tax money is held and applied toward those bonds, there are some legal issues about prepayments and some things of that nature, but the best estimate is around 5 years.
When you say prepayment penalties, are you saying the city would have to incur prepayment penalties for paying early? And that's like, yeah, just that question.
Under the terms of the bonds, there may be some prepayment penalties that would be paid by the collected taxes.
So we're being forced to pay a lot earlier by XA's actions, and then we also will be forced to pay a prepayment penalty as a city.
If there is prepayment.
If basically, okay. That seems like something we should, if we're gonna have to go down this path, they should pay prepayment penalties. We should not be forced to pay that. We didn't ask for this fight.
No, but I'm, like I said, you guys ultimately,
Can you remind us of just, this is gonna be, this may be a long meeting, so forgive me. We're gonna start asking, I'm gonna ask more questions than I want to ask, but we need to ask. Remind me again why we're here at this juncture. I know that they went to Little Rock. They proposed to the state legislature, they wanted to be annexed out of our city. The biggest question I have is why? Does anyone give us an explanation as to why and what the benefit is for that?
The why doesn't matter.
It does to me. So it probably matters to our citizens.
It is speculation as to why.
Okay, so we don't have any definitive action as to why they are not doing this.
they said that they don't want to be under our regulation, which the 99 law made it to where they don't have to answer to us for anything. So they don't follow none of our zoning codes. We don't inspect anything there. They don't have to follow none of our rules or regulations or anything like that.
Okay,
Can you tell us a little more about what the 99 law is?
So basically, we don't regulate them on anything and we get the tax money.
and that was the one that was just passed in Little Rock for Tessa Bill.
That was the 1999.
1999. Okay.
And now they're saying we want you to not regulate us even more.
Yeah, they're saying they don't want to be regulated, but they have no proof where we regulate. In all honesty, because we don't regulate them any way.
So they didn't want to be regulated, but now they don't want to be regulated and they don't want to pay taxes.
And they don't have to regulate because they're an airport, or what was the rationale for them not have to regulate to 1999?
Their current statements to the legislature when the current bill was passed was, well, this is a regional airport. So Highfill should not benefit from sales tax collected at the regional airport.
even though they're within city limits.
And they claim that we forced annexed them in the nineties, but we have proof that all the farmers out there at the time self-annexed in 94, a month to 2 months before the airport bought one being single property. So they were never forced annexed in.
So we have proof that we didn't force them. They don't want to be here. They don't want to do what they said they were gonna do. They don't want to pay us anything.
The only thing the airport is paying out of their pocket is for parking. The taxes on parking.
How much is that worth? What's the 2%? The 2%.
I think they
I
told
don't
us,
know how much it is.
I think when we talked about this 2 years ago. And like $130,000 or something.
So we're upset over there's enough, we need to de-annex for $130,000 is what the other airport's telling us.
I understand they're paying that out of their pocket. You're not charging that back.
I do not know that answer.
We can't find out.
I don't know that answer either.
So remind me again, airports in the across the country, are they typically inside of a county, municipality of some sort?
You got Little Rock airports and Little Rock, of course, it's owned by the city.
Okay,
Fort Smith is the same way, it's owned, it's in the city. And they're both the comparable size to what we have here beside that Fort Smith.
but the argument X-nay we making to us as well, Fort Smith, owned by Fort Smith is in Fort Smith. Highfill, this airport represents Fayetteville, Bentonville, Springdale, Siloam Springs, et cetera. So therefore it shouldn't just be a Highfill thing. That's the logic. If I was to try to play their logic out.
Yeah, so the four, they said multiple times, the four bigger cities, five, I guess, Siloam, Springdale, Fayetteville, Bentonville, Rogers, set this airport up in the nineties, become the board, that's the board. You got 2 representatives, Benton County, 2 representatives from Washington County that are assigned to the board. And they say that Highfill should not benefit from the passengers that are flying in and out of the airport. To me, that's the same as me saying, if I go shop at a Sam's somewhere, that city should not get my sales tax to upgrade their water infrastructure and stuff like that. So it's the same argument. They said since it's regional, that it shouldn't be, one city shouldn't benefit off that, but everything in Northwest Arkansas is regional. There's not just
80% of my customers for Wooden Spoon come outside of Gentry and Siloam Springs. They're all coming from the corridor.
Yeah.
So why would I not give Gentry the sales tax because of that? But there's no logic in that.
so
Okay.
Will any of the cities benefit from the sales tax?
can or do they?
Will they? Post this. I'm struggling.
I mean, unless they annex into another city and we just are unclear of their long-term plans.
It feels to me like there's gonna be a non-government body that's collecting taxes. Unless I'm misreading this.
When they went down there in 23, that part of the bill was for them to collect taxes. That got taken out pretty quickly.
So there will not be
There will not be.
any taxes or like,
There
Well,
will
the
not.
city taxes will go away. The other taxes that are required for state and county will still
Yeah.
be collected.
so the county will benefit.
If there's a county tax, I'm not sure about if there is.
We have a county tax.
Yeah.
So the county will still benefit.
Yeah. But we'll still deal with the traffic and wrecks and stuff of that nature.
And when they receive government funding today.
They do. They receive it from state of Arkansas and they receive it from the federal government all the time. Our tax dollars go to that airport.
So if this goes the way you're saying, they annex from our city, they can buy up land that's in our city and annex it out of our city.
Technically, yeah, they can. They say
So
that's
they
not
can
their
just do
intention.
that
but
All the way up, however much money they have and feel like doing.
Technically, yeah, they can. They say that's not their intention. But this bill allows it to happen.
Mayor, when they build the airport here, was it already Highfill or did they annex into Highfill later?
Nope, before they bought their first parcel of land, the farmers out there all self-annexed, signed a petition, brought it to the city council, handed it to them, and asked to be annexed in.
So they knew that they were building an airport in Highfill. They're building an airport in Highfill. Now they want to de-annex from Highfill, not pay our sales tax, and have jet planes flying over our heads.
Yep.
The regulations that we can't control.
Now, I'm not saying we go to war over taxes, but I'm pretty sure there was one in this country's history at one point.
Yeah, and they, the other reason, they passed this is to say that they would give them even playing field, even seat at the table for negotiations with Highfill. And, I don't know if everybody knows what's going on with Ukraine and Russia right now, but I sure feel like Highfill's Ukraine on the negotiation side of it. Because there is no negotiation. It's, you take this deal or we're suing, something like that.
And that also looks into the city council as well, is that right?
I don't know. The only thing they stated to me today would be being to me, my capacity.
So we take what they offer, we put us in the red. Fight them. And we could still potentially end up in the red.
Yep.
So either way, we're in the red.
So if we take this deal, we will be for 5.5 years in the positive. But we will not grow one little bit.
That's because why?
It's because
Sign
next
up
in 2027, we will have that NACA come out. That's $165,000, Dustin?
Yes, sir.
$165,000 payment. And it takes roughly, our bond people told us it takes to borrow $1 million, it takes $80,000 to pay it back. And we need $7.5 million just to put in the 18-inch water line. That water line to grow. Need that water line to grow. And we also got the 8-inch going down Gady Hollow Road to supply citizens with water that are currently hauling water by their vehicle right now back to their house. So if we take the deal, we'll be fine. We'll be in the positive for a few years. We won't be able to grow. So when the tax goes away, we will be screwed.
Okay, so if we don't take the deal, then what are we using to fight our side of? What's our support to fight our side of what we believe they should do?
We have pursuing corrective legislation. Of course, well, there's a bill that's been introduced that would repeal the detachment law. That's been introduced in the current session of the legislature. We don't know if it's going to pass or fail. We also have challenged the constitutionality of the current law. The Judge Schrantz found that it was partially unconstitutional, but in his opinion, that part of the law can be ignored. And so his decision was, since that part can be ignored, the airport could proceed with filing its detachment proceeding, which they did a few months ago. But we continue to believe that the law is not constitutionally sound and should not be allowed to be used by the airport in the way it intends, which includes requiring the city to escrow 100% of its sales tax. That's the airport's contention. So the sales tax from the dollar store, the sales tax from the point of sale deliveries, etc. They contend that their act they wrote requires 100% of those sales tax monies to be escrowed.
Are there any other airports in the US that will be under a similar ownership or management structure as XNA?
No, well, there may be other regional airports that have a similar board that manages them, but I don't know of any situations that are identical to this one.
Because most of them are owned either by city, county, by federal, or,
I mean, they could be owned by authorities. I just don't know.
okay.
So, I mean, it's a serious conversation for the city, because where does the city stand if we're back having further discussion 6 months from now? And some judge has said, nope, you don't get a penny of your sales tax revenue. You're gonna escrow all of it. You're gonna escrow 100% of it. Where do we stand?
Is that legal for them to give that to us?
Well, that's what actually intends the law says. So if the judge agrees, where does that leave us? Where does that leave us if we're don't have sufficient revenue to pay our expenses? We need to think about that. And I'll say that some cities around the country have reorganized. What does that mean? Well, they filed bankruptcy. I'm not suggesting that Highfill is bankrupt, but where are we going to be if we can't pay our bills? It's something that bears consideration.
So I want to make sure to lay it out for you guys, you know, we can accept this deal, and in 5.5 years, we'll be where we will be if we lose. If we fight it and we lose, we'll be in the same spot. We'll just get 5 more years to not, you know, not really grow, because we can't grow because we have no infrastructure. You know, like I said, I try to get them to go 10 years. I think 10 years would put us in a lot better spot and give us time, you know. And I'm not saying 10 years at the 745, saying, you know, we proposed a step down sales tax to get, say, 100% for, you know, X amount of time, or we'll put 10% of the sales tax, of the total sales tax in there for the first 5 years, or 20% or something for the next 5 years. And it gives us time to go out there and get bonds, get them paid down, get ourselves in a good financial position to be able to lure more businesses in, more residents. That's not at the expense of our citizens have.
Mayor, if I do ask a question, just something. We have a lot of citizens in the room. Our job is to represent them. Is it a chance, can we give some time to citizens, give us some of their opinions on what their thoughts are on XNA and how we should operate?
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, we're here.
To start with, Ryan, go ahead.
Who represents us? Is it Jay? Are you the one fighting our legal battles, or is there some other group of lawyers, or what's, who do we hire?
City has 4 attorneys working on the city's case at this point. I'm assisting, and 3 attorneys with Kutak Rock. You're familiar with the Kutak Rock law firm.
Are they constitutional attorneys, that sort of thing, or what sort of,
They are
expertise, I guess, in this area?
constitutional and municipal and litigation counsel.
You know, just my opinion. I mean, I think, you know, in the bill that they passed, was it just for XNA, or was it for, I thought it was for any airport in Arkansas could decide that they want to.
It is, but they said in the transcripts that Highfill will be the only one that's affected by this bill.
Well, it's a regional airport act, and there are only, I think there are 4 other, quote, regional airports in the state of Arkansas, but none of them are situated the way XNA is situated.
And do we have contracts with the airport and what they're supposed to pay and for how long and that sort of thing that are legally binding, or is it just like they were handshake deals and we're going to give you a sales tax deal this time or whatever?
Now they're in the city, so they, you know, every business in the city's got to pay sales tax. The contract that you're talking about is the 1999 bill.
Yeah.
That airport tried to de-annex back then, and the senators and representatives seen what kind of financial burden it put the city in. So they made this deal with Highfill. You won't have to follow any Highfill's regulations. In return, they're gonna be your sales tax.
How does it, I guess a question on if we're looking for the 2% sales tax, basically that over the next whatever, so if we can't get it, technically they can't get it. Then, I mean, doesn't seem like there's any, I don't know what their gain is in not giving it, I guess, besides saying, which I don't think anybody's told me when I walked in the airport that, hey, you're not gonna have your 2% sales tax from Highfill tomorrow or something like that. That's not gonna happen. And so there's some other motive, I think, that's saying, hey, and then, you know, why they would want to not give the city as 2% unless it somehow lures more businesses into their airport, which I don't know if they have any room for anymore anyways. And so, just interesting to me, you know, what's behind the scenes. And then if they're not a part of the municipality, how does FOIA and things like that, deem for a regional airport in the state of Arkansas? Can someone request all information from the board there that, I imagine because they get funds from the state in some way, then that can be done to get information.
Was that Moto?
You know, they are considered a governmental facility and they are subject to FOIA.
So does that have to come from citizen or,
Citizen.
so it has to come from a citizen, not the city council?
I mean, it can come, we can forward it anytime we want. I do believe.
You can,
Yeah.
as a citizen. It's a citizen right under the Arkansas state.
I'm just curious, the ulterior motive. I mean, it just seems strange to
It
me.
seems like they have a different.
Yeah, some kind of thing
motive.
that's,
For 2.5 years, I've asked myself the same question, right?
Same.
Something, they're not gonna be able to collect their own tax revenue.
Not right now, but they did state, when we met with them in July of 23, that was, they were going to go back. They felt like that, they would be able to collect taxes.
So that was something you tried to negotiate with them, that they could pay less or.
We did, we made that offer too, that we would impose an airport tax that only go to the airport only, that's it.
They just don't want the regulation.
But there is no regulation,
They don't want anyone being the boss of them.
there is nobody boss up,
They think there is.
there isn't.
is I'm sure they have board meetings and where they make decisions, and it wasn't just the guy you were talking to that was making the decisions on this. So,
Aaron's in the same shoes I am, he's just doing what his board tells him to do.
I mean, we can FOIA their minutes, and I mean, I'm sure they have minutes of their board meetings and what people said and what. I just like more information on.
Have our lawyers done that?
Sure.
Yeah, we have submitted various FOIA requests to them and they've responded. I can't tell you. All this particular documents we've received, they've given us everything in advance.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you.
Jen?
Yeah, I'll say something.
Yeah.
So the way I kind of see it, I mean, we all live close to the airport. We hear it. It's noise. They're on our roadways. They're using our fire. They're using our police. Point blank. It's either we lose the funding now or in 5 years. I say fight it. I mean, it's the growth of our city. So either our city's gonna grow a whole lot and then we can't help the infrastructure. So then what?
But it does go back to option C though, right? We fight it and then in 6 months, they can say, okay, you lose it now, right?
You have to escrow all your tax money
Right.
immediately. And then we have the money.
So then we literally just cut off our nose to spite our faces at that point.
But you'll do the same thing in 5 years.
That's what I'm saying, like,
So you're just rolling,
a lose-lose situation all around.
It is, and that's
Yeah.
why I see that we do it now before building 5 or 6 more subdivisions that we can't support. So.
Thank you.
One correction though, they don't take our fire and police, they have their own departments, right?
They do.
Yeah, just want to make sure that's on public thought.
They do help a lot though.
Yes.
They do,
you need-
they do. All the cities give out.
So I'm not an attorney, nor will I pretend to be one. But I would add, I fly through XNA nearly every week. I go all over the country. And I've worked with the airport authorities and trusts from Phoenix to Sarasota, Florida. And I've never had this level of interest in taxation and divisiveness between the authority and the locality or the municipality. But it comes to my mind that as you look at the way that the traffic is flowing and Highfill would have to respond to any emergency calls, whether it be police or fire, outside of the airport, that is a direct cost to the city. So if you're thinking about what leverage the city might have, if they take away what would be a pass-through tax that would not cost them anything, potentially, but they still want you to provide services, then there has to be some kind of an agreement or leverage where Highfill could bill XNA for responses to their perimeter. The alternative to that would be to have some kind of an understanding where any development in location or proximity to the airport would be taxable, and that revenue could support the services. I'm thinking specifically for rental cars, gas stations, right? Those things have to go together. I've rented a lot of cars in my travels and I've flown a lot of flights. And I can tell you that XNA is charging a lot more now for rental car taxes than they did in the past. Part of that is because of the parking garage. So they are collecting. And the fact that and I realize they self-protect with fire and police efforts. But the perimeter, they're not going to respond to, correct? So if that's a direct cost to the city of Highfill, there has to be some kind of a leverage or agreement where you can collect either on the services rendered or have some kind of a exclusivity to the taxation in the perimeter of the airport. And the question that came up earlier about could the airport potentially acquire more land? Well, then that's just taking more revenue away from the city. So
And not just our city, that could be other cities.
Could be.
Buy land up front.
So I did ask them to, and I told them it was a point, very much concerned to the city council. And to myself, is all land that is non-airport operation, meaning where the terminal, where the terminal is, the runways are, that's airport operations. Where they're putting in the gas station over there, anything that's not, airport operations, the stuff on 264, that's all in commercial area. That would remain in the city limits, so in the future, we could collect taxes, off of that stuff. Aaron didn't have a problem with that, I guess some board members did. But he said one board member told him that we're not gonna build anything, but yet they built a solar plant on an Alto Road on their land. So by them saying they're not gonna build stuff, I don't think that's entirely true,
oh, that's for sure.
because I do believe they're still gonna build stuff.
They have additional roadways and runways planned as well.
Yeah. And I'm fine with everything that's airport operation, runway and stuff like that being out, if that's what the end result is, as long as, there's gotta be some give or take, in this whole negotiation, and right now it's them wanting to take it on.
Right.
And not really give us anything.
So I don't know that there are any assurances, but if there is any, and I'll use the term leverage again. If you have anything that you can leverage, it would be proximity to the airport and the services that are rendered at your expense. And if potentially those services are at risk by the loss of funding and taxation at the airport, that they would not pay themselves anyway, it would be a pass through.
Yeah.
So there has to be some kind of an agreement. Sounds like better than what's laid on the table right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura? Jess?
Of course, I'm always gonna go for the farmers and ranchers, because that's the family I'm married into, so. Growth is inevitable, but I feel like we should keep it back to where the roots are for Highfill as much as possible. I think the airport's corrupt. I won't ever fly there again unless it's for a family emergency. I watched when Mayor and Chief went to that between patients, which was interesting. Let me mute my phone so I can go in patient room. I think they do have ulterior motive. You can't say you're not gonna do something and then, like you said, build the solar plant. It's easy for these 4 people to say they're not gonna grow now, but they're not always gonna be there. There's gonna be other people. And I feel like there is. I think that they'll continue to buy land and annex. And of course, I don't have any proof of this, but just based off watching what they experienced when they went to Little Rock and seeing the changes that are going on, it looks like they're gonna have a non-governed board to be able to do what they want with money, which is not what America's built on. If we want to get back down to it. It's also, I feel like they want to annex Highfill and take over Highfill, so it looks like they want to try to make us go bankrupt before 5 years. If they know what Highfill's about, a lot of people here aren't gonna back down from a fight. So I say we fight it. 6 months versus 5 years. Yep, that could hurt us. It's gonna be the same fight. I'd rather do it with this mayor in our seat and not someone else. So, go Highfill, go mayor. That's what I got.
Wayne?
I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Well, I've tried to do a lot of reading on this since I moved to this area. As you all know, I've been a lawyer for a long time. And a judge for 25 years after that. So it kind of is an area of interest. You got big political power on that board that sits at the airport. And that's what you're up against. It isn't, you know, Jay's right. We can argue Constitution, you can hire the best constitutional lawyers in town. But when they go to Little Rock, they don't give a damn about that. It's about who's got the guns and who don't have the gun. You guys are in a tough spot no matter what you do. I mean, you either take the lump now or you take the lump in 5 years. You're probably going to take the lump. Unless, I don't see the legislature based on what they've done to date, and I've tried to go back and kind of follow that. I don't see them changing the law. You need to ask for that, and I'm sure the lawyers already have.
We all have.
Yeah, you probably asked for that and you've been told no. I mean, I kind of equate, you mentioned Russia and Ukraine, it's right like that. Russia says, I don't give a damn. I'm gonna take your land. Just a matter of when.
That's
And
how it
that's,
feels.
and that's what this is. The airport authority is gonna take your land, take your power, take your taxes. It's just a matter of, are they gonna do it now, or are they gonna do it? I know that's not the forecast you'd like to hear, but I think you can argue Constitution. They've got the Constitution with them too. You know, I'd make that argument if I was Jay and the other lawyers. But my guess is at the end of the day, that judge, based on the rulings he's made and the indications he's made so far, he said, yeah, part of it's unconstitutional, but they don't have any application. That's like saying you win, but you don't really win.
Thanks, Wayne.
Who are our representatives?
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
So I appreciate Wayne's comments, and I think the mayor is absolutely right when he's frustrated and is prepared for the city to move forward. From a dollars and cents standpoint, the difference we're talking about is probably about 3.5 to $4 million. If we take the airport settlement, we're gonna collect over 5 years, $3.5 to $4 million under their plan. We don't take their settlement, we may collect more, or we may collect nothing. We don't know. Now, when I say we may collect nothing, all the money collected if it's all escrowed, it's still the city's money and it still goes to retire our bonds. So it still ultimately goes to the city, but not in a fashion that we can use for our ongoing operational needs. And that's what makes this so hard. So I just wanted to make sure that the council understands to the extent the airport says, oh, we are offering to not argue over $746,000 a year. If the airport ends up winning, it shortens the sales tax collection time. So that ends up costing the city $3.5 or $4 million. So just trying to help.
I just want to make sure you guys have all the information.
It's great conversation.
So, make sure I understand. So we take right now, we take the deal they have right now. We get the money. We seemingly look like we're thriving for 5 years. We get to the end of the 5 years and we can't actually make a plan because we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the money to pay for the infrastructure. So we have no other way to grow. Right? So 5 years goes down. If something does happen and we do find a way, we could continue to grow. But even if we do find a way, the airport still, we've already made the deal with them, so now they're buying our land. They're buying our land and continuing to do what they were told they could do. Right?
Well, at the end of 5 years, a couple of things will have happened. First, our 2 existing bond measures will have been retired. And so at the end of 5 years, we're still gonna have our water revenue, we're still gonna have our sewer revenue, and we're still going to have city sales tax that we are collecting at 2%. We don't know exactly how much that's going to be.
Goes back to that crystal ball, like I was talking about Senator Penzo's bill, if the DFNA had to tell us how much money, we tried. 2 years ago, 23, we got our representative Underwood. He assisted us. We wrote an email, he wrote an email to DFNA requesting the sales tax off of the airport. We weren't requesting how much each individual business was paying on sales tax. We just requested the overall sales tax. And they told us no. So if we could get that number, I could give you guys a better understanding. We could say, okay, hey, our city sales tax is this amount of dollars. You know, but I'm going off of X and A's numbers. And what I think our city sales tax is, and it's just a guess. We won't, I just don't financially see how we can make it. I mean,
No, we definitely can't make it if they start buying up more of our land and building stuff on it that we can't collect taxes on.
that is true too. I don't know that they'll do that, but that is, I mean, this bill allows that to happen.
When was this deal given to us? And then like today, so basically you have a week to decide something a day to say, hey, we're gonna make this vote. I mean, is there can we go to a judge and say, we need time to decide on, I mean, it's not enough time to do that, and the judge ruled that, well, they need more time before they make a decision and lose out. I'm just curious.
The timeframe looks very calculated.
Well, sure, I
It looks
understand.
very
I
calculated.
get that. I'm not, yeah.
If anybody watched what went down in 2023, there's a bigger plan today. It's unfortunate, and I think that most of the people that sold their land that knew the airport was coming in before, if you talk to family members that are still around, they wish that they wouldn't have, because they were misled in what was going to happen with the airport.
And if we take the money, how much of that is, obviously, we gotta pay off these bonds, so.
So the bonds will be taken care of, not out of the 700.
Not out of the 750, that's gonna go. to the
So
city.
the bonds will be paid and then we will receive 45,000.
And how much of that do we need each of the next 5 years to run the city? Do we need it all, or can we put money back to say?
We won't be putting no money back.
Okay, so it's,
I mean, we'll be at, a couple $100,000, over, in the positive, maybe. Somewhere right in there.
if we go to zero tomorrow, we don't accept the deal, go to zero, the bonds will be paid off, but we won't have enough money to run the city. I don't even know if we'll have enough, if we have the 750,000, but it'll be closer to. But then we'll be making cuts, next council meeting, basically.
Yeah, and I'm afraid that we'll be, without a definite number for the Department of Finance Administration, we'll be, and with my calculations, we'll be making cuts in 5 years. And it don't take that much. I mean, you can take our city, you get on our website, look at our budget, take out all the sales tax, add in that sales tax, and then project it out. See that it just don't. Because a big part of our budget is growth. A big part of our is building fees and stuff like that. We're not growing, that building compensation goes down. In return, that puts us probably in the negative before the 5 years is even up.
What's the, sorry.
Because in our budget, we have built in there for building fees, which is $500,000 or $600,000. That's what we've been getting. I don't quote me. I think that's close to what it is. Like right now, we're coming close to waiting on our sewer line. Once it's done, we can start ramping back up on some of these lots that's already been approved up north and stuff to start building. So that will help us out. But if we don't upsize our water line, then all that building comes to a halt. And then our budget, like I said, is made up of a bunch of building fees. So when them building fees are not collected because we're not building, then that's our budget's going to go down, and that 745,000 is going to go. I mean, it's going to eat that up really fast. So we'll end up being in negative a lot quicker than I anticipate the 5 years.
What's the comparison of that growth, the fees we collect versus because of the growth, we need more city services that cost more? What's the scale there? Does the growth way outweigh what we need to supply services, or are they about even? Or
so the other side of that, Ryan, is the reason we're doing the impact fee study is so the developers will start paying for their growth. But we're still going to have to go out and get the financing and funding to do that. And we got to be able to secure it with something. And until we get established on our impact fees, we don't have nothing. The only thing we have to secure it with is our sales tax or water and sewer operations. And we just we're not big enough to have enough water and sewer operation money just yet. And if we take this deal, we don't have any sales tax assurance until we get established. That's why I'm asking for more time with them. Just go back to what you sold in Little Rock and give us that time that you told the legislators that's what Highfill would have. That's all I'm asking for. And I think that would give us time. Mr. Craig, go ahead.
Yeah, I see two alternatives here, and I spoke to leverage before. Number one is the airport's using Highfill water now.
Yeah.
So add a special use tax to them.
That's so we got an outside user fee, which once they become, of course, that's part of the agreement there is they don't want to pay that. It's the way I'm assuming I'm reading that right. Am I right, Jen? They don't want to pay that outside.
Their status of the water, right?
They want city benefits without within the city.
Yeah, that's laughing.
No, that didn't fly. The other
Well, it
thing,
does say until X name no longer, or until, it says about the tax revenue. So there's a small caveat in here.
your other alternative is around zoning. So if they wanted to acquire additional land, zoning would have the right to refuse that, no?
Nope, the law enables them, they don't have to follow any of our zoning codes.
We can zone it for uses that they may not want to be able to use it for, us a different zone, right? But we can't compete with buying the property.
Well, no, we can't zone their land, period.
Once they buy it,
Once they
it's
buy it,
theirs,
it's theirs.
and not subject to our zoning.
Oh. That's not part of this jurisdiction, like, so, got it.
Yeah, let them do whatever they want. Yeah, it's not a good deal for Highfill, either way you go with it, so. You guys tell me what you want me to do. I'll be more than happy to do whatever you guys want me to do. If you wanna find it, we'll find it. If you wanna work on something else, work on something else.
Doesn't sound like we got much to work with.
Well,
I think I've given you all the information, Jay, and make sure we covered all the bases. Council got any more questions? I think and you guys can go on there. You guys don't have to make a decision tonight.
We've got till Friday.
Yeah, if you guys, I can talk to you individually, and if I think there's enough of you that wants to say approve this, then I can call a special city council meeting. But if there's not enough, then I can just carry on with the status quo as we are right now. But I mean, you guys dig into our budget and look into it closely. And if you've got any questions, call me and ask me. I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and show you. But you gotta look at our building fees and stuff. You take out our sales tax, plug this in, look at that, project, you know, if you don't have any growth, where that goes, and it takes us straight down into the negative.
Mayor, we can meet with, we talk, yeah, he said their name, whatever, hear what they plan to argue, and just get that information in our brains as well as we make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, it'd probably be easier if you guys want to do that, just call Jay, set up a meeting with Jay, and Jay can put you guys all on a conference call individually. And so you can ask your questions. I've told Jay to take any of your guys' phone calls and any information you guys need or want, it's there for you.
I've heard Mr. Lane's point. We're gonna argue our point, and they're gonna say thank you, but no thank you, they're still gonna lose. I still like it, what our argument's gonna be.
Yeah.
And I asked that question today. And, you know, I asked for, you know, what kind of percentage chance we get. They said, we have a fight. We have a, what's the word? Basically, we have a fight.
Saying,
What percentage?
we have a fight
There's-
as in, like, us, we are going to struggle to prove our point, or we have, like, we have a dog in the fight, like, we have some ground to stand on.
We have a defensible position.
Thank you.
There's the lawyer term.
That's what I was looking for.
So senators and governors, everyone else, they get worked up, or when the public gets super worked up over something that seems unfair and unright, unjust. I feel like our citizens feel like this is unfair and unjust, and I don't know that any other citizen in Northwest Arkansas wouldn't think. Majority of the local citizens wouldn't feel the same way. What are we doing to get our message out so that local citizens can advocate on our behalf, and we have more people in the state saying, it's just, this dog doesn't hunt, this doesn't make sense. You know, the kinds of things that everyone's really thinking, like something's scratching our head, there's a motive that we don't understand. At least create a public opinion point of view that this is wrong.
Well, public opinion, and then also, like, get people involved to call our representatives.
How do we do all that?
Call your representatives.
We just keep pushing. I think we just get our voices louder than we are right now.
People need to understand, like, the Cliff Note version of what's going
And I
on.
think they don't.
I don't think anybody fully understands what's truly occurring.
And just so I can make sure I understand this before I say what I'm about to say. We were a city just fine before the airport. Highfill was not established off of the airport.
No, we're just a little bitty city.
We're just a little bitty city, but we were a city before.
We were a town.
We're a town, we're whatever, we still own a post office, but
We was in a corporated town.
so we didn't just become founded off of the airport. They bought land that was in Highfill, became in Highfill, paid taxes all these years, and then just woke up one day and said, we don't wanna do this anymore. But our town was here first.
Yep.
And so we can get louder. I think people don't know what's going on. They only know what gets put out by the news, which we know is
Bias.
not that credible, right? So we can get Jay and figure out like what we can say, like what we publicly can talk about and what we can do to push our city, push the people around us, in our city, around our city, whatnot, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just stick to the truth. I don't feel like it's working for me right now, but it will eventually. That's the way I feel and believe is the truth always prevails, eventually. So, I mean, I've got all that information, the transcripts of what they said, and all that stuff. Sorry, I'm doing it.
Back to my asked question earlier, I don't think it got answered, but was this deadline put on us by the airport or was it put on us by a court?
The board,
The what?
airport board.
Okay, so what, in terms of having a deadline and being a legal deadline to make a decision as a town, can you explain how them just presenting a contract, to us as any kind of deadline, and then what, I guess, can we,
Well, so
because it sounds like it's, we need time to think about this.
they feel like we,
Time.
they feel like we should have been escrowing our sales tax already. We don't feel that's the case. So that's what they're trying to force our hand at right now.
And then they're basically saying if we don't do it, they'll sue you as a mayor.
They don't wanna be governed by us, but they wanna dictate how we govern ourselves.
Yeah.
It's a Disney World all over again.
I think Mayor, what Justin's saying has merit. Even quick Google of XNA, Highfill, there's Reddit posts about us not willing to split sales tax, et cetera, all things that are not true. I think getting the citizens' voices and their citizens more involved in it would probably help. We had that petition back in 2023. We can go back and relook at, it was an online petition. I don't know how much weight that carries, but we go back and relook at it, at least reach out to the Arkansas citizens in there and have them reach out to our representatives and go that route.
Yeah, I'm not the best at marketing.
I'll do it.
But if one of you want to take it on, I'll be more happy to give you whatever you need. The information that you need to make sure we stay on the legal side of it and don't nobody gets in trouble.
Is that online today?
4029 should be.
Is the news online?
They were earlier than that now.
Not now. Just gonna say, let them know that we'd like to talk to them.
I did talk to 4029 today and I told them, exactly what I told you guys just now. I told them that all we're asking for is what the airport passed, got this, we feel that how they got this passed in Little Rock, telling us that we have 8 to 14 years and it's going to be a soft landing for us. Told them that we have the transcripts to show where the airport individuals stated that personally. And that, this could possibly lead the city to bankruptcy, if we don't get something worked out. But
On behalf of the citizens, thank you, Mayor, for all that you're doing to fight for our city. I acknowledge it. I see it. I've witnessed it down in Rock with you. Jay as well. Thank you for your service to our city. You are a paid employee to help us with that. You were doing it something that I think you have a passionate plea for the small town of America, and I appreciate your efforts. I'm not gonna make decisions tonight on this thing.
I don't want to. You guys think about it. I'll get a hold of you Thursday evening, Friday or something. And kind of weigh the room there. And if there's a deal want to approve this, then I'll have to call a special meeting. But I think if there's not no action taken, we'll just want no action taken.
Okay. Thank you to the citizens too, for speaking up. It's nice to hear from you.
Anything
everybody out there.
So on rest of the announcements, we got planning commission meeting Tuesday, March 25th at 6 p.m. Free tree Friday, April 4th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the community building. Tree seedlings provided by the Arkansas Department of Agriculture and Forestry Division, educational session on tree care and conservation. Arbor Day tree giveaway is Tuesday, April 8th, 7 a.m., 11 a.m., City Park. Residents can receive up to 2 free trees. City Council meeting Tuesday, April 8th at 6. Anybody got any questions on any of the tree giveaways? Come get your tree.
Why are they always on the weekday?
Thank you.
Not on the weekend?
Saturdays, what time?
Yeah, so we'd have to pay the employees overtime and comp time to come in on a Saturday.
What if we give them some time off during the week to compensate the time they'll be there on the weekend?
You know, I'm a big family man, so I like to spend time with my family on the weekends, but I'm always working, so that's where I'm at on it. If the council wants something,
If you guys want some trees, just let me know.
if council wants something different, we can do something.
So we create a labor assistant playing the trees a bit much.
For other people.
Well, I mean, just for the
Yeah,
record,
Dustin and them are usually fairly good with that.
So if you can't make it, you can have assistant pick it up on their behalf.
I don't know how we would do that. The trees are delivered off of a semi truck, like a semi truck shows up and then we have to jump on, unload 350 trees and then we set them up. We attempted to, in the past, we held this at Matthias Ranch on Armstrong. We had to move the trees 3 times. That gets strenuous on the 5 guys, the 5 employees that we have, 6, 7 counting me and Jeremy. I'll do whatever you guys direct me to do, but typically the day after, like even P Ridge has theirs in the middle of the week and Gravit has theirs in the middle of the week. Just depends on when the trees are delivered. If we have to move them multiple times, that gets strenuous on our guys and takes up time, but we'll do whatever you guys want us to do.
Can we
I
do it?
wasn't advocating either way. I'm just saying for options for those who may not have anybody that might be able to pick up. So just for the record, the possible implication that anybody on the council is also not invested in spending time with their family is not necessarily where I was trying to go. I'm just saying that there are people that may not have the backup or the availability during the week. So I was just trying to give additional options for that.
I think Dustin's in the past has worked with people. They call in and say, hey, I can't make it, but I want 2 of these trees. You know, he set them aside. Either we've taken them to him.
Very kind, but also we don't want to fall into the habit of asking Dustin to continue
Well,
to make those
the issue
exceptions when
the
we're
issue with that
collecting.
is we would be overwhelmed with phone calls and requests to do
Right.
so.
Right.
And then all the trees would be taken before they even deliver. So
Can we do it where, like, if I can't make it, Justin can pick my 2 up?
you bet.
Is that, you know?
We've done that in the past, you know, people
What do
would
you
show
do?
up and say,
Send
hey,
them
my
in with
neighbor
your water bill?
wanted this one or these 2. We've made exceptions for that.
What are the guidelines behind that? Though? Do I just send Shy with my water bill so he can pick up my trees or?
Usually if Justin wanted me, if I wanted Justin to pick up my trees, I would call Dustin and say, hey, here, I'm a citizen. He sees that. He knows that. I'll say my trees are on. Justin, I was gonna come get my 2 trees.
Put on the citizen, the tree pickup.
So Justin's gonna pick up everybody's trees with.
And please don't give out my phone number to everybody who wants to reserve trees or have somebody pick up trees. Feel free to email the customer service, well, not the customer service side, that's the water, the admin. And if you want to make arrangements to have someone pick up your trees, that would be the most logical way in my mind.
Then too, right?
Good, make it the kids at school have that volunteer hours. They're mandatory now. We could have a student run tree giveaway and make it a responsibility.
What day is the 8th fall on, Chris? Because the days are, trees are being delivered on that Monday. And chances of us delivering those to the park and them being safe and well kept and nobody taking them without city staff there is slim.
So they deliver them whenever they decide.
They decide when they're delivered. If it was me, they would deliver on Friday afternoon and we've got tree giveaway Saturday. But we're at the mercy of
I mean, that's
the foundation.
They're free trees. I'm not that. They're for trees for our community, so.
But yes, if someone, I think that would work if they just emailed the admin, so-and-so is gonna pick up.
Oh, I get calls all the time, so I have to tell the guys. hey, so-and-so's
Listen,
coming to get
I've
trees
asked
for
for
this, so-and-so.
I've asked the mayor to take my phone number off the website. He refuses to do
I
so.
have a Facebook page. There's only about 775 people in there, which we have quite a bit more in our town. And we could definitely utilize that page, like, that's how I do let a lot of people know that the tree giveaway is happening. And I have seen people go in there and say like, hey, so-and-so's neighbor, can you pick up my tree? And I've seen that happen. I live across the street, so I just ride my side by side over there and grab my trees, and I've picked up trees for other people too, so.
I guarantee Chris is my boss. Whatever Chris tells me to do is what I'm gonna do. So whatever you decide, sir, I'm good.
I'm not picking up your trees, Chris.
Council, got any discussion?
Did Tiffany get her city phone?
I don't know, I don't,
Busy?
yeah, I don't know that answer.
I mean, I do have a question. I know that you said you're gonna talk to us like each individually, but is it a possibility for us all to talk
No,
again?
oh, in a special meeting, yes, maybe.
Before we decide individually and not know what consensus is?
If you guys want to have a special meeting, we can. But they're gonna make that decision. And I don't know if there's a deadline time for Friday. But
Friday this week.
yeah. I mean, the information is there. I mean, I'll do whatever you guys want to do.
Let's let them think about it. We need to call a special meeting again.
I need,
Yes.
there you go.
Justin,
Yes.
Alexis,
Yes.
Jessica. Yes. Shy.
Yes.
Hold on, Alexis.